Well, here we are, back in my driveway. Still in lockdown down here in Melbourne. I can't work, the construction industry is closed. So basically I'm using the time, I'm tinkering around the place, doing a few odds and ends. But there's one job I've been meaning to do on the car that I just haven't really gotten around to, and that's upgrade these headlights to LED. I've had the globes sitting there for a while. It's just, yeah, it's a simple little job that only takes maybe half an hour to do the whole lot, but it's time to get stuck into it now. I've got the time. I wasn't going to film this video, but I thought it could be handy for people that are thinking about the option of upgrading to LED. There's certain things to look for when buying a globe. There's plenty out on the market, there's cheapies, there's things that are really, really expensive. What I've found to be the best is these globes from KO Gear. I'm replacing the low beams, which are a 55 watt with a 52 watt LED. And I'm replacing the high beams, which are a 65 watt with a 120 watt LED. Now, the light output on these is going to be huge. I've gone for the 5000K. Stock halogens, they're about 4200. These on the scale of whiteness, they're a bit more white than yellow. You can sort of go up around your 6000 as well, but I don't really find that the best way to go. A little bit too white, you get a lot of reflection off road signs. When it's foggy, no good. Rain, no good, because you get all the reflection back off the raindrops and things like that as well. So 5000 is sort of the sweet spot. If you like the more yellow, you can get these also in about a 4200. Now, anyone who does have a Y62 as well knows the stock headlights in these, you may as well hold a candle out in front. So it's been something I've been wanting to do for ages, and I've seen a lot of people very happy with the upgrade, so that's why I've gone for that. So here we have the standard globes. I'll do the low beam and then I'll do the high beam, and then we'll get to see the difference of what it's like when we upgrade to the LED. This is the low beam, standard globes on the Patrol. Absolutely rubbish. It's almost dangerous how dull they are. High beam. So look, the high beams aren't too bad, but still, when you're out on the open road, that's really where you notice the difference. You notice the colour, how yellow they are compared to the fog lights as well. Let's open these up, I'll show you what's in the box, and then let's run through some of the key features of a good LED globe and what to look for. So, here is the globe here. This is a standard halogen. What you want to look for when buying an LED is the globe replicate or mimic basically what you're removing. So what it is, you want the LEDs to be basically in the same spot as where the filament is on the halogen. You want the LED also to be the same shape, size as what this is as well. Because when it's in your reflector, it's got to be in the right spot to get the right beam pattern. Otherwise you're just going to get flooded light down the road, you're going to blind other people, and it's not going to be the best light for driving. You want a good focused beam, and the only way to get that is to mimic what you're replacing. So that's a key feature to be looking for. Standard halogen, the LED you're replacing, make sure that they look the same. If you've got a big block of LEDs here, and the filament you're pulling out is only small, well, it's not the same thing, so it's just not going to work right. If you've got 360 LEDs all the way around, it's not going to work. You don't want your LEDs to be too far apart. Again, nice and thin with these KO Gear ones. There's two different types of heat sink as well. A heat sink is super important because you want to be pulling all the heat away from the LED. So people think LEDs don't make heat, they do. Anything that's going to make high output of energy to get the brightness has to make heat. It is what it is. So there's two types. You've got passive and active heat sinks. Passive is basically what's on the back here. Would have fins, or you can get them with a fan style as well, where it fans out in all different directions to dissipate the heat. or active, which has a little inbuilt fan built into the back of the LED. So any of the high output ones, they all have fans. If you're getting one that's just passive, it's probably not going to be as bright because they need to dissipate that heat, otherwise you're just going to burn out those LED chips. Now they come with a driver as well. What the driver does is gets the power right and optimal for the chips to start up and work and run at their optimal performance. You can get LEDs with inbuilt drivers. They're not the best for reliability. Heat kills electronics. If you've got your driver built into the housing here, as well as all that heat trying to be dissipated from the chip, it's definitely, it's not going to do the best reliability compared to something which is external, away from the heat source. With this sort of stuff as well too, you want to look for something that all the wiring is all nice and sealed and all in one piece. Watertight connections. The more connections you have, or say you had a plug here that then plugged into the driver that then plugged into your LED, it's a failure point. You've basically got somewhere water could get in or dirt can get in, and then if it fails, then you've got to pull it all apart and replace the parts. Get it all in a sealed unit, you're not going to have a drama with that sort of thing. The LED globes, if you get the right one specific to what you're swapping over, they come with the same plug, so they're basically just a plug and play unit. With the wiring too, you want to make sure there's no single insulated wires. If you look with this, all molded in, so there's no way wires can get damaged just real easy from being singly insulated. So the reason you want to mimic what you're replacing is because you want to keep the light source from the reflector the same to keep a nice narrow focused beam pattern down the road. If you're moving the source of your light, so where the chips are, you will then throw your light out of focus, and then it's going to either flood light down the road, create hot spots, and it's just not going to work the way the engineers have designed these headlights to work. The engineers that design these headlights are probably a lot smarter than the people who just put together a globe. The people who put together the globe just may look at it and just go, oh, bigger chip, more light output, that's got to be brighter. It's not the case. It's got to mimic what it's pulling out. The filament length, the chip length, the chip size, the closer it is to the original, the better. So now I've replaced the driver's side. Haven't done this passenger side yet because I think I'll wait for it to get dark tonight. We'll put one versus the other and we can see the differences and improvements, or maybe it hasn't improved at all. We're not going to know until it gets dark, but we're going to be able to see one versus the other and see how they compare. That's probably the fairest way, rather than just going, alright, they're both out, boom, now that's the difference. Wait for it to get dark tonight, point it at the garage, I'll slowly back out the driveway, and then we're going to be able to see the way the beam pattern works and see how close it mimics standard. Then we can make sure that we aren't putting in an inferior globe and that we are actually getting benefits, not just massive light output but not focused. So that's the fairest way to do it, one versus the other, and then tomorrow swap them over again and do both. So here's the difference from one to the other. You can quite clearly see that the LED on the right is a hell of a lot brighter. There's definitely no hot spots or shadows, and if you look at the sort of the beam pattern, it basically mirrors exactly what's there with the halogens as well. See what these high beams are like. Wow. That's mental. That is a huge amount of output difference. Let's back it up. See the difference as we back up. But just look at how much more light output is there. Let's see if we can swing. Yeah, we swing that way a bit. And that is huge. Try the high beams. It's chalk and cheese really, isn't it? That is a huge difference. Let's back her up onto the road, see what it does. There you go, with doing this too, it's obviously giving you the different colour over a different ground. There's low beams. Let's bang on the highs. That's increased the light output a heap, and that's only with doing one side. So as soon as we do this second side, that's going to make a ginormous difference. You almost don't need spotlights with this. It's crazy. So if you're looking at where they're projected out onto the ground as well, they're basically the exact same focus length. What you really need to be careful of too when you change into LEDs is to not be blinding and not be obnoxious to oncoming cars. With these, me standing here looking at them, the difference of the reflection, being the projector headlights, I think they're actually made, a lot of them seem to work better with LEDs and the HID globes. So changing them in that style of headlight isn't too much of a drama. But standing here looking at it, there's no difference to the way one shines versus the other. So yeah, won't be getting any flashes from oncoming cars, that's for sure. They're visibly brighter when in the car, but to look at it from the outside, yeah, you can tell they're brighter, but they're definitely not obnoxious. And yeah, you won't be getting flashed with these. These are good. High beams. See what these are like at a distance compared. that LED is bright. Like, stand back here, Jesus, it's like having the spotties on. There's a huge difference of light output in that high beam. Yeah, you'd get flashed if that was shining at you, but it's your high beam, so that doesn't matter. That's bloody good. So I'm probably 60 odd, 70 meters away from the car at the moment. And look at how bright I'm still lit up. Like, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. Now, it's not a hard job to install these. All it is a matter of reaching down and plug in your old lights, twisting your globe out, and replacing it with the other one. So that was the high beam. Now these rotate as well because you want the LEDs to be facing left to right. So once they're in, you can adjust that. There we go, simple as that. Now it's just a matter of plugging the new one in. Cable tie the driver up out of the way, which I'll probably tie it up here somewhere. That's high beams done. Let's do the low beams. High beams are pretty easy to get from above. Low beams on these, you just pop the plastic out of the wheel arch, up under here. You can quite easily reach in and do them that way. Ta-da! Yeah, so it's the easy way to get them. Some cars you might find, yeah, pop your wheel arch out, reach up in from behind the plastic, get to one, the other one reach in from the top. Swap these over, do that Parker as well. So this is the Parker globe. It's just a quick little bi-pin plug in. Then all that's left is wait for it to get dark and see the complete upgrade. I'll fire them up, you can hear the fan kick in. So that fan there, that's what draws that heat away from the chip, prolongs the life of it, and yeah, just dissipates all that heat. Okay, here we go. Both sides, LED. That's the fog lights down the bottom here, so that's that light you're getting. And high beams. That's pretty good. They are bright. So another little job I did today. Look at this. Look around the cabin. upgraded the all the internal lights to LEDs as well. Done the doors too. So there's plenty of light down there as well. So these are all KO gear globes. I brought the whole kit when I did it, so I thought, oh, if I'm going to do it, may as well do it properly. One other one I did too was the reverse lights. So it's going to be interesting to see how they are. We'll throw the park brake on, we'll jump out and have a look at the reverse lights, because a lot of people put spotlights and things like that on the back of the car, so this could be an option there as well. Just retrofitting some LED reverse globes, and that kind of gets rid of that need to throw a spotlight on the rear of the car. Camp light's different, I suppose, but if it's only a reverse light you're putting a spotlight on the back for, this is definitely an option. Check this out. It's going to be pretty hard for me to see the exact difference because it's done over multiple nights, but that's an improvement. That is bright. I'm very, very happy with that. As far as the upgrade, is it worth it? 100% it is. Like I was saying, there's no need for spotlights if you can't fit them on, if you can do this upgrade. This is more than ample lighting for most driving conditions. Outback, things like that, that's a different story. The outback roads seem to just soak up every little bit of light you put at them. But for the majority of the driving, in the close tracks, heading up the high country, this would be enough. Obviously adding the spotlights or the light bar and things like that going to help a lot, but this, yeah, it's definitely enough. So that's the low beams. Focus of that beam pattern is absolutely perfect. There's no flood of light. Like I was saying, no hot spots looking down the road. You're more than safe from ever being flashed by someone. They don't look obnoxious to look at, but let's throw the high beams on. That might be a different story. You might get flashed for having them on. So yeah, this is 60 to 70 meters away, bright as daylight. Love it. That is perfect. Might head back to the car, flick the spotties in the light bar and see what that adds in. Light bar, spotties. That's some pretty nice driving light right there. That's turning nighttime into daytime. There we have it. Lighting upgrade done. Is it worth doing? Is it an easy job? It's real easy. Like, if you can change a globe, you can upgrade to the LEDs. Lighting, I think, is quite important. Usually on a car, it's one of the first mods I do, whether it be spotlights. Well, this is the first time I've actually upgraded the headlights to LED. But yeah, usually spotlights are usually the first thing to go on, because just the safety aspect of driving at night with bad quality lights, the strain on your eyes, how much more you got to concentrate. It's just not worth it. For a few $100, you can get these globes, put them in, and if you didn't want to, you wouldn't have to run spotlights. If you did want to run spotlights, the Terralooms, they're great. We actually have a video, I'll put it in at the end, the link to it, a review on them. But yeah, if you just wanted to upgrade your original lighting, had no bull bar, had no sports bar on the front, had no provisions to put the spotlights on, definitely worth doing. Upgrade your headlights. The light output is huge. Pay attention to all those things we spoke about earlier. Make sure that the LED that you're replacing your globe with fits all those parameters. Make sure it basically mimics what you're pulling out, and you're not going to have a drama with the light flood and blinding people. It's going to be that nice focus beam we spoke about and you saw that was on the garage. It'd be a nice clean light. Up to you what colours you want to go with, but I definitely recommend maybe topping out at about the 5,000. Long-term review, well, we'll have to keep an eye on it for reliability and that sort of stuff. But there's a lot of guys that I know with the Patrols that have upgraded to the LEDs and they're not an issue. If you are wanting to check in a year's time and I'll let you know straight up how they're performing, but I'm not worried at all. If you are, you can always throw one of your spare globes in the car. If you are worried about ever having a globe fail, you've pulled them out anyway, so you've got them sit there, throw them in a container, in the glove box, and then you've got a spare if anything is ever to go wrong. Worth doing. Thanks for watching. Any questions, any comments, leave them below. I'll get back to you. If I can't answer them, I'll get them to Kerry from KO Gear and get him to answer for you. And thanks again for watching. Cheers, guys.